that Erin was a class act and was listening and engaged and asked good questions and has already become such a good agent in such a short time. So I wanted her on the show, both for agents that are listening to this broadcast that are new in the industry to sort of take tips from her, but also you old fogies out there that have been doing this a long time. Remember sort of the passion that you had at the beginning of your career. And Erin's going to remind you of that, I think, as we speak. So we're going to jump right in. So Erin, first of all, how long have you been doing real estate?
I have been doing real estate for about 2.5 years. So
Okay.
April will mark 3 years for me.
Oh my gosh, that's
Yeah.
so awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
So
been
we have to
wild.
joke. I always joke to say, 50% of people that get their real estate license don't make it past their 2-year mark. So congrats already.
Thank you.
You've already beat the odds. Okay. And then, so tell me what you were doing prior to real estate.
Prior to real estate, I was working in a corporate job. I had been there for 8 years. I was the executive assistant at a company called 180. 180 is the parent company, but they do a lot of things, and the primary focus is senior housing. So we built and managed retirement communities around the country and a few other countries. But like I said, I was the executive assistant. So I worked in the home office and I worked with amazing people, built awesome relationships. It was really, really fun. It was my first big girl job, I like to call it. And I really enjoyed it. It was a wonderful place to work.
I love to ask this question because as soon as you said executive assistant, I was like, oh my gosh, the crossovers into real estate are just vast, right? So tell us a few of the things that you can say, oh my gosh, being an executive assistant prepared me so well for this job.
Sure. Well, I supported multiple different people. So I had to kind of adapt to different people's styles and the way that they work and the way that they like to be communicated with. And I think that to be a good real estate agent, you also kind of need to be a chameleon and be able to adjust, be flexible. That job really taught me how to be a professional. I had worked, hotels before, retail, restaurants, and things like that, which are amazing places to work as well. But this job really taught me how to stay organized and just how to be client facing, because I did also interact with a lot of high level people that were coming into the office and stuff like that. So there are a lot of really great things that I took away from my old job and brought into real estate for sure.
Of course. Yeah. I love that you talked about being adaptable. I've said this so many times on this podcast and I say it to the scout brokers all the time, but this is not a business of sales. This is a service business and it's a
Absolutely.
business where the more you know people and can respond and engage and get their engagement, the better your success rate is going to be at real estate because people want to be seen and known and heard, and then when they feel that way, they trust you, which is trust is about
100%.
the cornerstone of our business. I love also that you talked about different communication styles, different people like to be communicated with.
Mhm.
How do you find that shows up in real estate for you now?
Even just the follow up, we always ask, do you like to be called? Do you like to be texted? Do you like
Uh,
emails? Do you like Zoom? Do you like in person, face to face interactions? Everybody has different preferences. And so asking that question up front and just setting the expectation as to how we're going to be communicating, I think is very important. And it also makes them feel more comfortable as we're going through the journey of the home buying process together.
I had these millennials a couple years ago that this is no joke. They would rather have us almost sitting in the same room texting each other than have a conversation live. So
Yeah.
I'd pick up the phone and call them and they'd say, can we actually just text? Right. And so talk about preferred communication style. That was where they were able to sort of be themselves the most. And so I had
Sure.
to step out of my comfort zone and say, oh, yep, that's okay. We can do that. But that's really true. And then being organized, sort of systems based. I find so many realtors don't have a system to speak of.
Yeah.
If you ask them, how do you do this or what sort of system, they'd be like, I don't know. It's kind of fly by the seat of your pants. And, so I'm glad to hear. And I knew that the minute I met you, that you're kind of a systems person. Okay. So you're an executive assistant for 8 years. You sort of grew
Hmm.
up, you say you became, your first adult job.
Yeah.
Um, and then what drew you to wanting to do real estate?
I had never thought about real estate as a career ever. And a good friend of mine, Keno Belden, who I know you worked with in the past as well, he and I met years ago in the hospitality industry. We were working hotels, and we were both working at Hotel Andra, which is a cute little boutique hotel downtown
Yeah.
Seattle. We had a Hawaii connection. We became instant friends. And even after we both left the Andra, we stayed in touch, and remained, decent friends, at least on social media. We were liking each other's things and happy birthdays and stuff like that, although we didn't see each other like face to face for years. And so I knew that he got into the industry, and he's been in for about 10 years now. And 2 years ago, or 2.5 years ago at this point, he reached out and just said, "Hey, I've been thinking about you. I would love to catch up, and let's get dinner." So I said, "Absolutely, of course." So we go to dinner, and we're catching up, and he just comes out and says, "I think you'd be great at real estate." And and I said, "What?" Like, I had never thought about it for myself before. I didn't know anything about real estate. I was not a home owner. I had never been through the process myself. I really knew nothing. But he encouraged me and said, "It doesn't matter. Like, I can help you. I can show you those things. You are just the person that you are, I think, could really excel in this career." So we sat there and I asked him a million questions, and I left that conversation feeling really excited for the first time in maybe my entire life, feeling that way. So I, immediately called my dad and other people in my life that I trust, and every single person said yes. Like, "Oh my gosh, why didn't you think of this before for yourself? Like, you would be a great agent." So I just kind of took a leap of faith and quit my job. And within a matter of like a week or two, I was on the road to getting my license and becoming a part of the Ohana Brokers.
That's so great. I love it. Something you said stood out to me, and that's about sort of your community being behind you in this.
Yeah.
And I guess for those of you new in the business too, not to discourage you, but if people in your life were like, I don't know if I can see that, pay attention. But if you're getting a lot of green lights from people that are saying, I can see you being really good at that, that's such an empowering thing to keep you going in the business.
It was.
Okay, so take me back to you're drinking out of a fire hose.
Yeah.
You're right. You're brand new. You don't know anything.
Yeah.
How did you sort of get going right away? Because you had some success from the get go, right out of the gate. What do you attribute that to?
I attribute that to aligning myself with somebody who has experience and who has been successful in the industry, and I think that that's really important. I have been blessed to work with Keno Belden, and he really, really helped me from day one. And that's, I asked him in the booth at Elliott Bay Brewery when he brought this to
Yeah,
me, and I said, "I know that this is going to be hard. Like, are you going to be there when I'm new, when I'm struggling, when I don't know anything? Because I will need you." And he has exceeded my expectations of what I could have ever imagined a support system being. And I think that coming into an environment where processes and systems had already been set up was really, really helpful. So that helped a lot. And then also just my sphere. I think I'm in the perfect age group to be surrounding myself with people who are ready to purchase homes, who are, either getting married, having babies, wanting to upsize a little bit. So that was just luck that was on my side there.
absolutely. That's awesome. You talk about aligning with someone who has more experience, who shares your values, who can offer you support. A lot of people join teams, which I think you're in a team right
Yes.
now. And I have sort of mixed feelings, as you're aware, about teams,
Sure.
but
Yeah.
their teams are good, in my opinion, for helping someone figure out they can fly and then being able to fly on their own, be to not sticking around a team that doesn't mutually benefit both people long term. I love what you said about sort of hitching your wagon to someone who has done this for a while so that you can learn. So if you're listening out there and you're new and you're sort of flailing, who can you go to say, I want to shadow you? I want to hear about your systems. I want to take you to lunch once a month and hear about new things you're doing to generate business, whatever it is. But don't be alone out there because it can be a really lonely business. Find someone who you respect and really bend their ear on that. How else do you feel like you've gotten support outside of your partnership with Kino?
I've had the most tremendous support system through my life partner, my family, my friends, everybody has just been so supportive. Because you're right, it is a lonely business. People don't necessarily understand what your day to day looks like, the stress that's involved, the fear of where your next paycheck is coming from. There's
Yeah,
there's
for
a
sure.
lot of things that can cause anxiety and fear. But if you have an amazing support system behind you, whether it's your team members, your mentor, your life partner, your family, it makes a world of a difference.
Absolutely. That's very true. So let's talk about three do's and three don'ts. Okay. And I'll give you a second to be thinking of those and you can sort of be
Okay.
thinking of them on the spot as well. But if you were to go back to the beginning to where you are now, 2.5, almost 3 years in, what are three things you would say, I would do that again? And because I know it really supported my success. And what are three things you would say, yeah, I've tried that. I wouldn't do it again. I would do
Yeah.
it differently. This is just more to kind of have people that are listening hear from someone who's had really great success in such a short time say out loud, here's how I've reflected on getting there.
I would say one thing to absolutely do, and I would do this again if I had to, is to go all in, full time real estate agent. I dabbled with the idea of doing it part time, keeping my
Yeah.
comfortable job. But if you really want to succeed, you have to give it your all. So 100% go all in.
Yep.
And then the other thing that I would do is take advantage of the resources that you get from your firm, from your team. There's a lot of value that can be had all around you. You just have to see it and accept it. Trying to do it on your own is not the way to go.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So
I like, yeah.
do use your resources. Do not just feel like you're on an island by yourself.
Yeah. Don't be alone in that.
Yeah.
Before I ask you to keep going on your do's and don'ts, I want to just cut in for a second to
Yeah.
say, at 22 years in the business, and I will say that I've watched part timers come in and I'm just going to see if real estate's for me and I'm going to keep my other job going. And it just doesn't work. That
It's
is the
hard.
end of it just doesn't work. And I won't say that definitively because I've seen people transition eventually, but I feel like their
100%.
career is really, really stunted at the beginning because they cannot be as good of an agent as I think they could be if they came all in. So if you're a part-time agent and you have the ability to have saved enough to give yourself 6 months, right, of leeway
Yeah.
for paying all your bills and then just hit the ground running, you're going to have a better chance of finding success faster. I love that. That's really good. And then take advantage of your team. What's another do that you think if you had to do it over again, you would do?
I would say another do is to like put yourself out there immediately. Let everybody know that you are now in real estate. Go through your phone book, like send text messages, say, hi, we haven't seen each other in forever. How are you? Catch up with them and let them know that you are now a real estate agent.
Yeah.
Blast it on your social media. Don't be shy. You
Yeah.
have to get your name out there. You have to put your face out there. You have to just be all in.
I love that. Yeah, don't be shy. I think I remember one of this agents I was training for a while. She said to me, I said, "Who knows? That you're a real estate agent." Well, she said, "I've, my clients that I've had, the 5 or 6 of them I've sold houses to." And I said, "Well, what are you?" She's like, she was a big swimmer, and I said, "You swim every week. You've got to see the same people." And she said, "Yeah, but I mean, I don't want to tell them." And I
Yeah.
was like, "Oh, you have to tell them.
I know. I know.
Those are your clients."
You have to get it out there. Don't be, shy. Don't be ashamed. Sometimes there's a stigma behind real estate. You don't want to have that real estate breath, but you're
Yeah,
leading with service and not
yeah,
sales. You just
yeah,
want to let them know that you are here for them when and if they ever choose to partner with you and that you can deliver value to them.
yeah. Awesome. Any other don'ts? Because we can sort of go do, don't off each other on these, but
Right.
any other thing come to mind that you would say, gosh, if I had it to over again, I probably wouldn't try this.
I would just say also to, it's exciting when you get your first check and don't spend it all right away.
I love it. Don't spend your first jet. I love it. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you can definitely treat yourself with something nice and something fun, but don't just blow that money because, again, you never know when the next one is coming. So save up a good nest egg.
There we
before
go.
you go
Yes.
wild with your money.
Definitely, definitely. There's some psychology in the Map Your Success class I teach at Scout. There's some psychology around every time you get a check to take 5% of that actual check, not of the total commission, right? But after you've paid all the things, to take 5% of that and do something fun for yourself.
Yes.
And so that your brain associates good things, dopamine hits with you selling houses and wants to repeat it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So to your point, save and be conservative and frugal and think about, well, this is a great big check. I love it. I want to go do this big thing, but maybe do smaller things, right? That still
Yes.
rewards yourself for your efforts.
100%. And then make sure you're
Yeah.
saving for taxes as well. That's the other big
Taxes, right?
thing.
We forget.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's a one that many realtors that have over the years gone, wait a minute, what?
Yeah. Yes.
What's my tax bill now at the end of this year? What?
Yeah.
I forgot about that. Pocket Hours is brought to you by Scout Real Estate. Hi, I'm Jennifer Nelson, owner at Scout Real Estate. I started this firm with the vision of doing things differently, with our focus on legendary service for our clients and creating a community of producing agents to spur each other to do higher quality work. If you are interested in learning more about how a small group of like-minded brokers have come together to have some fun while doing a lot of business, reach out to me, 206-227-7966, or email jennifer@scoutrealestate.com. I promise you this, fun is a high priority for me, but so is winning. So if you appreciate those two things, you might be interested in Scout. Looking forward to hearing from you. You've had some success, Erin, in open houses.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit why you think that's been successful for you.
It's really the only place you're ever going to go where buyers are going to come to you and you don't need to go chasing after them. They are literally coming to you. They are, in some cases very serious. They're looking at houses. It's a really great opportunity to meet people, whether they're represented or not, have conversations, get more accustomed to talking about real estate. And then preparing yourself to have those conversations before you go to your open house, right? Be knowledgeable about the home, about the area so that you can speak to it and just present yourself well. You're on stage. It's the first impression that these buyers are potentially seeing of you. And
Yeah.
I've been able to turn open house buyers into actual deals and transactions and relationships that we've been able to maintain even after the initial transaction is over. So it's been really great. Open houses are an amazing place to find business.
I love it. We call that a target rich environment, right? Where the people that are walking in that door, even if they're nosy neighbors,
Right.
are potential clients that are
Right.
there on purpose to see that house. I love it. That's great. I ask this sometimes, and I gave you a little forewarning on this, but in your short tenure of being a real estate agent, a rock solid one, by the way,
Thank
is
you.
there something weird or funny or unusual that you've come across in showing a house or meeting? I don't know, just this
Yeah.
business can be really weird.
Yeah. It's
Anything you've
definitely,
encountered?
I feel like maybe not weird, but there's definitely, you feel like you're well prepared. You've looked at, multiple homes to tour your clients. The pictures look great. And then you get there and you've been totally catfished. And the house that you thought was, ooh, this might be the one because the pictures look great. They presented it wonderfully online. And then you get there and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, client, that I brought you to this house. It's
That's
literally like
true.
online dating. Yeah.
Yes.
So that's, some things that have happened during tours where I'm just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I brought this client to this house.
Yeah.
I've heard horror stories about other agents that have potentially like maybe used the bathroom in a home that they're touring and the toilet doesn't flush or, things like that, which is just sounds horrific. So maybe just pro tip, like make sure that the toilet works before you use it.
Great. I love it. Such a good, yes, absolutely. We've gotten professional photography to mostly do us great favors in our industry, right? They really show off a house. And on occasion, it's a downside because they can put lipstick on a pig in a
Yeah.
major way and make you
Yeah.
go, wait a minute, this is not the same house for sure. Talk to me a little bit about what's hard in this industry for you. So every job that you have, no matter the job, hopefully there's at least 80% that you really love, that you're
Of
passionate about.
course. Hmm.
But there's always some part that you're like, if I never had to do that again, I would be fine. Or this part for me is just hard. What about real estate's hard for you?
Non-consistent paychecks are hard.
Yeah,
Just
for
never
sure.
knowing when you're going to get paid again. And the other part that's hard for me that I'm working through and I feel like I'm getting a lot better at is just the unknown as far as what your day is going to look like. You know, you can try to structure your schedule as much as possible, but it's really hard to stay consistent in a structured schedule because, you know, you're working around times that are good for your clients. You don't have weekends anymore. You know, weekends are when your clients typically are off. So it's a lot of client facing stuff, open houses, tours. So bye weekends. That part for me was really difficult at first because I come from a 9 to 5, you know, and before that it was school. It was like you just know when you're starting and you know when you're stopping. And then you can plan outside of those hours.
Yep. Yep.
But
Yep.
now planning it's hard to commit to anything because you kind of never know where your day is going to take you. Uh,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that part is hard. You know, a lot of times they say, well, you create your own schedule. Yes. But at the same time, it's definitely harder, I'd say, to stay consistent with things in this industry.
Yeah. I agree with that. I will tell you good news. It does get better. The longer you're in it and the more controller you have over that. So that does
Hmm.
get better. But it's true. Molly Kemper was recently on the podcast. She came from a professional corporate background and she said the first time she wanted to go out of town, take time off, she went in to her designated broker and said, I just wanted to tell you that I'm going to be out of town. And he sort of smiled at her and he said, okay,
Yeah.
thanks for telling
Thanks.
me. And she said,
Yeah.
well, don't I need to vacation time? And he was like, no, you're an independent contractor. So her mindset was such that, right, she was so used to that sort of rhythm of I work all the time. And if I'm not, I'm on vacation and trying to figure out the new rhythm of saying you are in charge of your schedule. However, client needs are what make you get paid. And so
Right.
trying to balance all of that stuff.
Definitely. And that's the other part too that's hard is it's your business, right? So you create your schedule, but if you decide not to work or if you decide
Yeah.
to just, you know, chill out all day long, you are missing out on opportunities that somebody
Yeah.
else is going to take. So finding that balance, you know, wanting to tackle every opportunity that you possibly can, but also finding the balance to rest
Yeah.
is challenging.
Definitely. Absolutely. Before we get to a couple other questions about a client event you recently have, it sounded like it went
Yeah.
pretty successfully. But before that, I wanted to just dig in for a minute. I've interviewed other folks on the podcast that are in teams and sort of partnerships and the ups and downsides for our listeners to hear because there's both for them.
Right.
They're not all puppies and kittens, but they're not all so terrible, right? So what have you found to be positive about being on a team? And what have you found to be challenging about being on a team?
Sure. Positive, you know, at my team, at least, I don't know if it's like this on all teams, but for my team, the amount of value that I believe that I am receiving with just support, help through transactions, just constantly being pushed outside of my comfort zone is really, really great. And there are a lot of teams where maybe, you know, you're on a team, but you're still kind of doing your own thing. I feel like my team, it's so collaborative and right now it's just Kino and I, and we do, you know, we're together all the time. We work through all of our transactions together. So I'm really, really getting to absorb the way that he does things, the way that I want to do things. We complement each other very differently because we aren't the same. We're very different people
Yeah.
with very different styles. So it's fun and it's interesting and where, you know, where I lack he gives and where he lacks I give. And so it's really great. And just having that face to face and feeling like you have a partnership and a support system behind you, to me that is well worth it.
What do you think are the downsides for people that are maybe considering teams?
Yeah, the downside obviously is, you know, your splits. When you're on a team, most likely you're forever going to pay a split and not just a cap. So that is something to consider. At that point, you just have to weigh the pros and cons of what's important to you, right? Like, do you want more percentage of your commission check or would you prefer to have more support. It's a personal preference, but yeah, I would say those are the pros and cons. You get a ton of support on a team, but you're also giving in the form of monetary
Yeah, definitely.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and I think again for the listeners, I think to be evaluating constantly cost versus value, which we ask our clients to do all the time, right?
Right.
So if we're charging a certain percentage for our commission and someone else is charging less, it's to say, well, this is why we charge what we charge.
Right.
But it's also to say that the value has to be there.
Right. It
Um,
has to.
and and eventually, as you grow in your own business, for anybody on a team, so should your splits grow. Meaning, they should lessen, and it should become more partnership than team because you're offering more value as you
Yes.
grow in the business as well, right? So,
Yes.
so talk to me a little bit, Erin. You just had a raging success of a client event party. How did that
Yes, we
get
did.
initiated, and what was
Oh,
that
it was
about?
wonderful. So we actually were lucky enough to be nominated for best team in the Pacific Northwest and through the Seattle Times. We were so excited about that we decided we're going to throw a client appreciation event around that. And we ended up winning. So that was even more exciting and a bigger reason to celebrate. So we did it up. We had about 200 people come and we took care of the food and then we had live music. We took care of the drinks. It was just a really, really great time. And everybody, from what I heard, had a great time. I had a great time. It was lovely. Yeah, it was on a Saturday night. So many people rolled through. It was amazing to see our support system, our clients, our family, our friends. Everybody came out and it was wonderful.
Oh, that's so great. Congratulations
Thank
to
you.
you and Kino to both.
Thank
That's
you.
that's a huge honor. Good job for you. Before we move on to predictions, a little bit about 2025, is there any other advice that you think you would give either to someone that's new like you, someone that's sort of halfway through their business and a little bit flat and don't know how to revive it, or to the seasoned professional that's been doing this a long time?
Yeah,
What can reinvigorate that passion for them?
I would say just get in front of your people. Set those appointments, whether it's a coffee date, a walk, it doesn't have to be a big thing. It doesn't have to cost money. Just get in front of them, spend time. The forward conversations that I learned from you, Jen, it's a huge amazing conversation starter. That's just an easy way to just text somebody and say, hey, ask about their family, ask about how their job's going, ask about what they're looking forward to this holiday season. What are you guys up to? Are you going on any trips? What are your dreams for 2025? There are just so many ways and opportunities to connect with your people. So do that. And then if you want to do it on a, more macro level and do events, I think that that's also a really great way to bring your people together and, have real estate conversations, but also build trust and have fun with your community. Just for example, one of the micro events that we did was a secret concert, a mystery concert. We invited 10 people that were currently either are on our hot list or just recently closed. We said, hey, we're going to pay for concert tickets. Come meet us at this bar. You don't know what concert we're going to, but we're just going to have happy hour before and we're going to hit a concert, And so and it's little things, just that, Soto, showbox, stuff like that. Doesn't need to be anything crazy, but just something fun for you guys to do together. I think that's a way to build your business and have fun with it as well.
That's great. Great advice. I think you're coming by our annual pie party, which I
Yes.
host at my house. We've got about 200 people come in and we give away about 150 pies, and similar kind of event that we do annually. People start to expect it. They start to anticipate it. So before we even send out the invite now, I'll have clients reaching out to us, say, I'll take a pumpkin pie,
Yeah.
and that means we're doing something right to have them come for live music and bites and booze and hang out in my home. So I'm excited to see you coming
Yes.
by.
Thank you
We
for
have a bunch
inviting
of
me.
colleagues. Yeah, you bet. We have a bunch of other realtors who just have become friends through the years that come by to support that as well. So awesome. Okay, as we finish out, we don't know, we don't have crystal balls, but what would you say in prediction? This interview will be dropped in the new year, and so we can check you that. Just kidding, we're not going to hold you to it. But what would you say about 2025?
2025, I am predicting that rates will come down. I don't know how significantly they will drop, but I do believe that they will come down. And I think that it's going to be a crazy time. I think the buyers have been waiting for this. And so once it happens, I think it's going to be nuts. So people should get in now if they can. I would highly recommend, talking to your agent, your lender, your people. Just if you can do it now, if you can qualify for the rate that it is today and get in while it's a little bit slower, we're going into the holiday season. There will be less competition. People are distracted by all the fun things going on. Sellers are motivated. So get in now. You can get your inspections done. You don't have to waive anything. You have time to breathe and think. And you get in at a lower home price, because when the rates come down, prices will go up and you'll be waiving
Yep.
stuff. And
Yep.
it's just going to be a more stressful situation. So that is my prediction for 2025. I think that it's going to get busy. So make sure agents that are listening, work on your processes, on your systems now while you can, while you have the time, because once spring comes, I think we're going to be hitting the ground running.
Yeah, we're going to be busy. I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't agree more. Erin, thank you so much for giving of your time. I know you're busy. You got a lot going on, so I appreciate you giving up, and I'll let you know when this goes live, but we're just happy to have you on the show.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. This has really been fun, and I appreciate you asking me to be a part of this. Thank
Of
you so
course.
much.
Thank you so much for listening into Pocket Hours. I hope this has been interesting, fun, made you laugh, made you think, spurred you on to do and implement some new things in your business. I appreciate your time and hope this has been a good use of it, period. Now, go be the agent you would hire.